This is, as always, the Lydia and Spin episode 256
Wow.
with myself, Lydia Lunch, and Tim Dahl. Tim Dahl, I am in Bologna, Italy.
Oh well, I've been there with you a couple times, and it's a medieval city. It's a special one, and fucking great food. Come on.
And last night we showed Artist Depression, Anxiety, and Rage at the
Oh,
very
cool.
same park that
Okay.
Retrovirus played at last time
Oh,
when
all right.
Retrovirus existed.
Yes, and how did that go? I remember there was a lot of mosquitoes there last year.
Not a
Was that?
single mosquito.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It
Oh,
was
okay.
great. I mean, it was really good. It was fantastic, of
The
course.
reason why there was a lot of mosquitoes there last year because there was floods in Bologna, like
Right.
right
Yeah.
before, so it was just everything was wet.
Yeah.
But
No, they're probably dead from heat overdose.
oh, is it really hot? Yeah. So the flooding right now is like in Bavaria and around there. All
Yeah,
that area is
no,
getting flooded. But yeah.
no, everything is fine. It's beautiful. I mean, I landed first in Como, which we
Oh,
also visited.
amazing,
And
amazing.
that was great. That was the Suicide concert, the
I,
same place that we played. And yeah, so I'm on tour now with mainly Mark Ronson doing the Suicide tribute and the occasional showing of Artist Depression, Anxiety, and Rage.
you're doing your thing.
Doing
You're
my thing. I'm road
do,
dogging, honey,
doing
road dogging.
performances and throwing in the movies and readings in between. So you're mixing it up. Um,
Yeah, that's right.
Sir Mix a
Uh,
lot.
yeah. Baby's got back, honey. That's right.
And anyhow, I will think real quickly about Como. It's like Hawaii. I mean, if you're a contrarian like myself, you try your hardest. I don't know if I like this. It's impossible. It's just too fucking beautiful. I mean, it's really
I have to say,
spectacular.
I did have a day of driving around and going to like a lot of the small villages, and it is really one of the most spectacular locations I've ever been to.
It's
I
amazing.
mean, and the thing is, it's very treacherous. I mean, the roads were built, of course, by Romans for horse and buggy. So they're two-lane highways that people are speeding down, which you can fall right into the deepest lake in Europe at any time.
Highway is generous. Highway is generous. I mean, sometimes they're
No, no,
so narrow.
highways,
It's just roads.
two lane roads.
So so my buddy Alessandro, who used to work on my bases, he's Italian, but he lives in New York, and he was actually a professional motorcycle racer in Italy before he moved to New York at one point. And he says those roads in Como, they'll do like these amateur, like kind of like cannonball runish kind of. They try to go around the whole perimeter, and they bet each other who can do it the fastest. And I mean, they're
Yeah,
weaving in between cars that when they're coming together parallel, sometimes they're like
terrifying.
2 inches from each other. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know why you would do
Well,
that, but
also, what's amazing is, because it's so mountainous, and I mean, Como itself is shaped like an upside down Y. So, first of all,
right,
it's the
right.
deepest lake. Of course, the food is beautiful. The buildings are absolutely incredible. But you'll be on this two-lane road, and then you'll look beside you, and a steep driveway goes under the road over to the house that's
Yeah.
on the hill, and it's just insane.
And
So
and
beautiful.
you have this kind of sparkling emerald water based on the minerals from the rocks and
Hard not to
mountains.
just throw yourself in or somebody else in. It's
And those,
true.
it's like Adirondack boats, those wood ones. I don't know what they are. They're those. There's a Como kind of style wooden
Yeah,
boat that they all have, and it just kind of matches the emerald water. I want to be there right now. And the
it was. I wish
cypress
you were there.
trees, palm trees, pines. I mean, it's just
Yeah, I mean, it is, and of course, I mean, the so many freaking tourists. I mean, that's why I went to a lot of the smaller villages, which a little bit away from the tourist trappery, because it's just so overrun, like so many places now.
so right now
Thanks,
already in
EasyJet
June.
and Ryanair, you fucking
So
cocksuckers.
already in June, it's because usually it's July, August. Already it's pretty packed.
Well, right now, because it's 7 o'clock at night, it's really nice. The weather, right? Yeah, oh, it's packed. I mean, it's packed.
Last time I was last time I was there was with you, but then before that I was on a little mini vacation because I had to go to a wedding in Sardinia and flying out of Milan, and so Como was just like not that far from Milan, especially Malpensa. So I went in September, and that's the time to go when everyone's back to work and it's still fucking beautiful out. Go in
Yeah.
September.
Well, you
That's
know
the time to
what?
go.
I try to focus on what I prefer and not what I would rather not acknowledge because it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to focus on the positive.
Yes, yes. Yeah, well,
As a
that's
neg head, I focus on the positive. Somebody that deals with negativity in my art, pretty much in my real life, I focus on the freaking positive.
well.
My rebellion.
Speaking of positives, Barbie Augustini and James Kane. They're magnet fishers. You know what that is?
Oh, I know this story. It's so fantastic. Yeah, I do. I
So,
know
so
what a magnet fisher
yeah.
is.
People, they throw these magnets and they're looking for treasures. People do it, and you need special gear because if it gets on pretty heavy and it's metal, anyhow. Well,
And let's face it, we have no idea what's underwater, any waterway. I mean, besides the filth, the pollution, the possible shipwrecks, the cocaine kilos.
wow, I was funny. I was talking with Simon about that earlier, but this couple, and they're in some creek in Queens. I don't know. Even if I was looking for a treasure,
We're in the wrong line of work,
all,
Tim. I know
all,
where you're going.
no, but all the toxins, I mean, that are on the bottom of these, I don't even know if
Yeah.
I'd touch it. But this is what they do, and they came across a safe, and sure enough, 100 G's in cash
I
inside.
know.
And so right now, I guess the rule is kind of like finders keepers after a certain amount of time. I don't know how that works, but they did contact the authorities, and they sent it down to the Washington D.C. Bureau of Printing and Engraving.
Yeah, and they get to keep it.
Well,
It's
so what it
so
is, they
great.
scan it, and then basically they repair it, and they make it official. They make sure it's not counterfeits,
I mean,
and
as a geographical divinator, like in essence, trying to find places to do what we do, I really need a divining rod, or maybe I need to become a magnet fisher. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. I mean, I've definitely almost every day I'm like, all right, I wear a lot of hats. I might need one more. I'm not sure fisherman is the hat I need to wear, but maybe a magnet fisher.
Magna Fisher. Well, anyhow, so after they send it to the bureau, they go through it, and then they send them a check in the mail, and they said what they're going to spend most of the money on
A
more
bigger magnet.
more advanced magnet fishing equipment.
Well, I have to
It's
say, on the plane again this time, and I might have mentioned this show to you before. It's called Lost Cities, and it's kind of reminds me of this. And the guy that is the main investigator, he's got from the knee down on his left leg, like a metal leg. I don't know how he lost his leg,
okay.
but with drone technology, the episode that I saw on the plane on the way here was El Dorado. So he goes with drone technology and helicopters so that he can look through the overgrown forestry, right?
Sure.
The jungles to see what the architecture originally was.
Oh, okay.
And I have to find this very fascinating. It's almost like magnet fishing for an archaeologist. And the show is really great. I mean, I've only seen episodes on the plane. I don't know if it exists anywhere else. But that this guy is climbing up these mountains, one and a half, he's got one and a half legs, not stopping him. But it's very fascinating when he's going through the jungle and then you see the architectural ingenuity of people from 500 or more years ago, especially if it's someplace like in the jungle, which is now overgrown. I have to, very fascinating to me. I love architecture, modern, ancient, foreign, mostly ancient. So that's kind of a drone technology magnet fishing
Well,
for
having
archaeological digs.
the abstract mind to and mix with engineering to kind of visualize what things are going to look like from other angles that you'll never see. That's the thing. It's like people who can read maps versus some people who can't. Doesn't mean how intelligent you are. Some people just they look at a map and they're like, I don't go left. It just throws them off. Other people just
Well, and the thing
they
is,
don't think
so
about
many
it.
places have been, overcome by the jungle, or maybe overcome by that. At one time, were totally dry land, now have water, or were totally
Right.
submerged and now are dry. So, I mean, I find it very fascinating. The lost cities, it's called. And it
Well,
really is.
there was years ago. I think it was 1999, whatever. But I was
Decades.
on a little vacay with the mom. She wanted to go to Turkey, and so we go to Turkey and we do the whole thing. We do Istanbul. We go to Cappadocia and go into these underground
Which, I mean,
cities.
by the way, just say that word again, because that is really one of the most there. And I mean, and Petra and Jordan, these are just two of the most
Oh,
absolutely fantastic.
Cappadocia. I mean, and what's interesting when a lot of people see the photographs of these kind of like Flintstone villages of
Right.
caves.
Right into
No,
the rock.
it's not like most vacation things like, oh, there's that spot. No, this is the whole regions like this.
Yeah.
It's like cities like this.
Yeah.
And,
That's
and the hotel we stayed in was in one of those things.
so
So
amazing.
so it's really insane. But we also go. I think we went to Ephesus and Izmir. I think it was Ephesus. But at one point, at one point. It's beautiful, Adriatic or Aegean sea water, crystal clear. At one point, we did snorkeling in an old
Let's face
city.
it, you are a bit of a snorkeler,
Well, yes, exactly. Snorkeling.
to say the least of what you are.
Okay. Snorkeling in
Could be. I mean, was snorking one of the banana splits? I'm not sure, but I fear
oh
who
God,
has many
I don't know.
nicknames. Snorking might be the next one. Go ahead,
Well,
snorking.
well, this is connected. This is not a non sequitur. It's not a tangent. It's connected to what you're saying about lost cities. Snorkeling in a lost village, underground
Oh,
Roman or Greek ruins, like pillars and stuff that you're snorkeling in swimming pool, translucent water, clear, crystal clear, and going between these things, and you could actually do that shit.
unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, because
Oh,
thousands
I
of
mean,
years ago,
this,
that was not covered in water. That's not it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's also interesting when they flood villages, when they flood out a
Yeah, yeah.
village,
They take out a
this
dam or
also
something.
happens. I mean, the thing is, look, we're road dogs. I want to go anywhere I haven't been. I even like to go back to places I have been.
Sure. Well, yeah,
Travel.
it's funny you say that because the last time we went to Australia together, I think we went at least 3 times. Um, eh, the first couple times I'm just kind of like man, doing the nightlife thing, hanging with you, partying, and kind of sleeping, and then playing a concert, which is fun because it's cultural and you get to play these great shows. But the last time I put effort, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check this fucking shit out because I've
Got
been,
to.
I've been a few times, but I haven't, and I put a little
Right.
more effort and it just opened up a whole new universe to
Oh, it's
a place I
interesting
had
to
already
me to
been
go to
to.
places that we or I haven't been before, which is very interesting. I mean, I want to go anywhere where I can see wild animals walking the streets as if they own the place, whether it's a wild turkey, a bin bird, as they call some of these garbage pickers, or a couple of little Joey kangaroos. Same
Well, that's what happened when we were in Castlemaine, Australia, the last time. I was like, oh, check it out.
favorite
Of course,
place. Yeah.
kangaroos are like deer. What deer
Yeah.
are to us is like kangaroos are there, and you go out there and you'll just see these fucking things.
Absolutely. Well, look,
Um,
I'm happy once again to be on the road. It seems like I'm going to be on the road quite a bit
this year, it's pretty pat. We're going on the
yeah.
road in a couple weeks, but you're
I mean, I'm very lucky and happy because so many things are getting canceled. Really big things, whole festivals.
I've
But
heard-
on this level, I mean, as the lowbrow road dog that I am, and I'm very excited that next month, I'll be doing more spoken word. I mean, obviously, I go between spoken word, illustrated word, and once again, the shows that we did in Finland and Estonia were so fantastic that it's I'm very happy and lucky as a geographical divinator
yeah.
to be doing what I do, and not to mention our upcoming Rust Belt, or as I like to call it, the Poconos
Yeah.
takeover with the non-retrovirus big sexy noise cover band. Can't wait. With who our guest today is Timo
Timo
Ellis.
Ellis. And
Can't wait.
one last thing, because you're working so hard. Do not be like, what's her? Oh, they didn't give her name. Brigham and Women's Faulkner Hospital in Boston, who's a nurse, who drove her car off of a parking garage roof
Oh,
because
unbelievable.
because
Yeah.
she was working
Sleeping.
well, she's working so hard like yourself, but you can manage that. She had done a million
And I don't
shifts,
drive.
and then she was on call at night, so she went into the garage to take a nap, and
How the hell?
then a light came on, and she's like, I'm gonna move the car to a dark corner where I can keep on napping, and of course she pressed
Yeah.
the,
Well,
the
fortunately,
gas and drove
in about
off.
5 minutes, the master driver, tour organizer, and just all around general good person to have on the road, Sebastian Greppo, is going to be in my presence. And
Yeah.
he once suggested, because he loves to, drive on these bizarre tours, he once suggested he should just hire a car and drive me around at night because I sleep really well when he's driving.
Well,
Not a bad idea because
Lydia, the
I'm not
future
behind him.
with the self-driving cars in the future, that
Oh,
might be an option. These guys need to chill.
I know. You know what? I'll look. I like to hire and employ and work with professionals in all kinds of dimensions. I'll stick with the pros. You, as a pro snorkeler, not to mention master master bassist, not to
Master
mention,
Baser.
not to
Master Baser.
mention just Timothy Doll. I must say, one of my favorite people on the fucking planet.
Aw. Aw,
Happy
thank you.
birthday to me and to you. Your birthday
Oh
was in
yes. Yeah, we're
I'm
both
with
on
my friend
we're
Carolina,
both
her
two.
birthday too. Kevin Shea, I celebrated his birthday. It's always the Taurus and the Gemini. Here we are together.
I'm May 2nd, you're June 2nd. So
That's right.
we're twos.
Imagine
Terrible twos. We're the terrible twos.
what it is. Anyway, this is, as it will be, and for as long as we can stand it, the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Doll, episode 256 with Timo Ellis, who's gonna rage with the Big Sexy Noise cover band. I cannot wait. Happening in the Poconos, kind of a Rust Belt, in July. Thank you. This is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Doll, and our special guest, Timo Ellis of Netherlands and various other things. Greetings. There are 3 of us in Brooklyn and one that would be me, Como, Italy. Hello.
How lucky you. I wish I was there myself, Lydia. And Timo, thanks for being on today.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
I was in Bellagio today. I drove all around Como. It was amazing. But
Amazing.
However, and I just got off the stage with Mark Ronson with the Suicide Tribute. So, Timo, happy to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And happy to have you in the Big Sexy Noise cover band that we're doing for 5 shows in July, including one in New York. Wonderful.
Great. No, I'm stoked. I'm starting to dig in. It's exciting. We're going to be able to.
It's very exciting.
We're going to crush
Let's
it.
have a little history about you. First of all, Netherlands is one of your main projects, of which is just phenomenally, unbelievably fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for turning me on to Timo. And when I first heard it, I was kind of shocked how fucking ridiculous it was.
Great.
And when you were suggested for this, I was very excited. So, but let's start at the beginning. You were born in New York.
I was born in Roosevelt Hospital.
We don't have to go back that far, but yeah, you were born in New York.
Yeah, I'm born in New York. Yes, I grew up here, and I lived here more or less until college age, and then I went to the Evergreen State College.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I actually So I happened to land there more or less right in the year or 2 years before, that sort of international pop underground thing, the whole K Records thing, like before actually the whole grunge explosion. But I landed at Evergreen right like about a year before that entire thing exploded.
Evergreen being where?
In Oregon, right? Evergreen's in Oregon.
Olympia, Washington.
Oh,
yeah.
Olympia, Washington. That's right.
Which had its. Let me tell you a little story about Olympia, Washington, which was, I did a show there with Exene Cervenka, and they were also showing Jodorowsky's Magic Mountain, and he asked if Exene and I were lesbians. I'm like part-time, and he insisted on seeing my tattoos, and then gave me a 3-card reading of Jodorowsky. Come on. Santa Sangre, one of my favorite films. Yeah, that's my experience with Olympia. Sorry you missed that one.
I know. I'm sorry too.
So it was that a good experience that this tsunami of pop culture obsession with the region happened when you arrived?
Well, I mean, it was kind of like there was basically like it was the fertile, like really the underground kind of garage punk rock scene. That ended there was the Olympia thing, and then there was like the Melvins and Nirvana from Aberdeen, but they kind of migrated over to there because that was the local kind of bohemian sort of like a spot.
Sure.
But overall, it was a pretty unbelievably incredible sort of hotbed of radical leftist creativity and just weirdos. And so this was before the commercialization.
You fit right in. You fit right in.
Yeah, exactly. No, to be completely honest, I had those kind of inclinations, but that was when I was trying to get sober for the first time. And I went to Evergreen. I was like, they have no grades. This is awesome.
Oh boy.
I went and like visited there before I got sober. And then when I got there, I'd only been sober for 9 months. And so that shit got real. But my initial interest in Evergreen was completely unaware of the actual art and music scene there. I just was looking forward to yeah.
Well, no. So I mean, you didn't. It's interesting because being raised in Manhattan and your parents seemed like they're pretty cultured, and you were curious enough that you were kind of checking shit out, right? And I think there is a thing when you get trapped on that island, especially more in the past, that there's just so much stimuli and there's so much stuff going on that you kind of get a little blinded about hey, there might be these other worlds out there, or you don't even consider them because you have just such a surplus of stuff coming at you all the time. So you think that was part of it, or what do you think?
There's also generally it was related there. That's definitely true to some degree. It was also just even like the level of just like chaos and insanity and stimulation of growing up in New York City. And part of me was actually craving like silence and even like trees or anything,
greenery,
like natural world. So
Yeah.
I think on the psychological level, I
wait.
sort of was like curious about, that kind of
Do you
thing.
think your curiosity about the natural world had anything to do with your father being a marine biologist?
Definitely. Although he's like, tried and true. He was just basically like a kid from Queens who also has his total workaholism and is sort of research scientist, which just involved him like pretty much grinding in the city like entirely. But overall, kind of on a larger picture level, it was definitely like a level of fascination and reverence for, the non New York City environment.
Well, it's interesting because, and this kind of blew my mind because rest in peace, your father just passed away. He showed me he had a obituary in the New York Times. He was part of the team that built the giant blue whale at the Natural History Museum.
Yes.
And what's amazing,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
He built the blue whale at the Natural History Museum.
Well, but what's amazing, because your dad, you're saying he's from Queens. Well, Rockaway's in Queens, and now that they've changed the shipping lanes for the migratory humpbacks, now, and no, in a weird way, it takes an army, and in a weird way, probably his activism and his involvement is kind of a part of this big puzzle jigsaw of like making things like that happen. You go to Rockaway now, you see breaching humpbacks with the block buildings behind it. It's kind of insane.
No, incredible. It would have accelerated his passion, fascination, mania with the whole thing had he actually seen humpback whales as a kid, because he basically his family moved out there when he was a teenager, so he grew up in the Rockaway. So that's
okay, wow.
Yeah, so that's partially how his fascination, obsession with the ocean really took hold, is because he lived on the ocean basically.
Let's talk about your fascination with music. When did that begin?
Let's see. I think my first cousin played drums, and he was really, really fucking good. And I think this was maybe like Thanksgiving when I was like 8 years old. I went over to his house and he was just shredding. And he also had he had posters of I think The Who and Zeppelin. Yep. And so the combination of seeing those posters with him just crushing it, I was like, I think I'm one of these people. I think I might be like, I'm like him, and I want to be like these other people. And so then, like within that, I kind of just started fucking around on pillows, with no drum set or anything like that.
So pillows was your first instrument.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And then basically my mom, she bought me a snare drum, which I went and we had this closet in our apartment.
So were you like the tin drummer?
Yeah, basically, it was just honestly like without any training or any guidance whatsoever, like playing drums in this little closet by myself. It's like, it's a miracle that I have any hearing at all,
Well, a lot of young boys started their first beat off sessions in closets. It makes sense.
The whole thing. Yeah, there was the entire, the closet was, it was basically,
one of my first songs I wrote was called The Closet. Let's just stop there.
Well, it's funny, Timo, because Cody Moffat, who's Charles Moffat's son, who played with Ornette Coleman, he played with Stanley Jordan. Doesn't really matter. It was kind of a trade secret with the real jazz greats in the hotel to practice your warm-ups, paradiddles, whatever, on pillows, because it gives you it's like weights. It gives you no rebound, and so it really kind of builds up your dexterity. So maybe intuitively you knew.
A lot of women prefer pillows to men at this point. What they're practicing on those pillows, goddess only knows.
Oh my God! All right, so then you have I don't know.
I would love to have a pillow between my legs that somebody was actually beating off on. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean that's
beating in a rhythm too.
I mean, I think you're telling the truth. I would say, I would say that basically I don't know how big your apartment was with your mom, but a snare drum in a Manhattan apartment,
Closet.
or that would drive a lot of people nuts.
No, it was basically, it was a miracle somehow that, it was a total nuisance the entire time, which eventually.
Did you say it was a total nuisance?
Yes,
Yes.
it was. I was a total nuisance, like within our own apartment, and then to all of our neighbors, which is basically able to just kind of like mediate or navigate the whole thing in a way that we didn't get evicted or whatever. But like this was maybe, and then truthfully, thankfully, like I kind of pivoted like 2 years later to the guitar because I heard Unchained by Van Halen on the radio.
Oh, well, that's a classic. Yes, of
And
course.
honestly, that was the story. The truth is,
So now you're 10 and hearing Van Halen.
No,
Yes.
exactly. That was like I was already on the fence of like not really giving a shit about school. But after that night is like, my entire life like sort of radically pivoted away from like the straight life after hearing that guitar solo, which is also a disaster because I was at 11. Like, what am I going to do? I had so many more years of school, but like that was the like bolt of lightning for guitar playing, which also just wasn't anywhere near. My mom bought me like a little nylon string.
Yeah, that's not how that's going to happen. With high action, was it like you have to fight the thing that the first guitar you had?
It was
not even a Dan Electro. Not even a Dan Electro.
I didn't even like. I mean, this was even like electric guitars weren't even an option until way later, But so that was also not wasn't as much of an nightmare, or even a nightmare for our neighbors after that. But then it's basically been. It was like 11 and 13. Those are my. Really, that was like when I got the snare drum. I was 11. I was 13 when I got the guitar. Or no, I'm sorry, I got the chronology wrong. It was 11 was Fair Warning. That's 81. Okay. Yep. And so then that was the guitar, and then the drum was 2 years before that. So that was 79. So yeah, but then ever since then, I've been like
I wish I would have had a 10 or 11-year-old drummer in Teenage Jesus. That would have been amazing.
I mean,
yes.
Like,
one snare drum is all it took.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I have recordings of, trying to find the most rebellious music I could at the time, which was just like Breaking the Law by Judas Priest or whatever, because it was on the radio. And like, I have recordings of me singing that. Like, it sounds like, it's like way, way pre-puberty, and it's fucking hilarious. Those recordings are amazing.
So basically, you have a folk art recording history of basically like a castrati singing Rob Halford.
They're amazing. I'll send them to you guys because they're fucking unbelievably hilarious. They're fucking so wild, those things.
Who do you prefer, Rob Halford or Bruce Dickinson?
I'd have to go with Rob. I'm gonna go.
All right, fair. All right, so
what's amazing is quite quickly from the one drum in the closet or a pillow to the nylon string guitar, you somehow became a virtuoso.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, I could say I'm maybe at intermediate level. I mean, thank you. I don't know. I practiced. I was pretty obsessive during that. That was probably the most hardest core wave of all my practicing, Yeah. But then this is also like by the time it got to high school, I was more interested in drugs, frankly.
Okay.
Like my
did that improve your music? Did it improve your music? That initial experience with drugs, did that help expand your music?
It improved my taste.
Okay, sure. fair.
All it takes is just a little taste. The first one is free. The rest you pay for the rest of your life.
All right. Well, so you're having all these experiences, and they're creating these different leapfrog stepping stones. Whether it's just hearing Eddie Van Halen play the guitar, or maybe doing drugs and being more exposed. What are some of the most seminal life-changing concerts you've been to?
So that was one of those is like it was around that era. My mom, God bless her, took me to see Diver Down, 82 at the
cool.
Garden. And
see what?
Van Halen at the Garden.
And that was the first time I'd ever. I've been there one time before, which was also pretty incredibly great, which is to see Foreigner with Billy Squire opened up, and
Oh,
Billy Squire
okay.
actually kicked Foreigner's ass.
Whoa. Okay.
I remember
You know
them
what?
just
I would
kind
have
of,
kicked both of their asses right off the stage
yeah,
and
yeah.
into fucking Penn Station out of Madison Square Garden. I would have pulled an Andre the fucking Giant on those two pieces of shit.
But Lydia, those bands are for 11-year-old boys. I mean, that's
True that. That's right. I make music for 14-year-old boys. As proven tonight with the Suicide Tribute.
Suicide is for loved by all ages.
I would say so. But all right, so these are these kind of
wait. I want to know, what year were you at the Garden seeing Foreigner or Billy Squire?
That was 81. That was the year before. That was right the year before.
And you were what, 8 or 9 or 10?
I was 11. Oh, the actual first concert I saw at the Garden was the Cars. I'm sorry, I just forgot, because Van Halen was like a.
Was Suicide opening for the Cars?
Was Suicide opening for the Cars?
No, it was XTC open for the Cars.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
hey, not bad.
Okay,
that would have been good.
I remember XTC had this, like, they had this amazing like video projections of these just abstract. They just had plaid on them.
Weird.
Just drowned in these like abstract like grid. I just remember thinking like, that's pretty awesome. You know?
So the question is, because I saw concerts. My parents would take. I'd ask them. I'd be 8 years old. I saw Hall & Oates and whatever. But it doesn't matter.
By the way, Tim, hang on. I saw Hall & Oates open for Lou Reed. That was fucking weird.
That's weird. That's weird. All right. Well,
by the way, it was Lou Reed's Sally Can't Dance, which was amazing. Go ahead.
That's some payola mafia shit, but okay. No, it has to be. All I know is the spectacle and the kind of mass hysteria was the thrill. But if I was really honest, it really sounded like shit. I mean, even if you knew the songs, you could connect. Did any of these concerts sound good in reality?
No, I mean, not that. Honestly, I was a complete Cars fanatic, and also Van Halen, really. So it could do no wrong. My mom smuggled in a little cassette recorder.
Oh, cool!
And I taped it, and so I kept flipping over the tapes because it was like 2 hours.
Okay, I have to cut in. Timo, I hate Van Halen. David Lee Roth once tried to pick me up. He's like, "Are you looking for trouble?" I just.
All right. I don't know, Simon, part of that story got cut off. I don't know if you got it, but once Lydia started talking badly of David Lee Roth, the powers that be algorithms try to cock block her cock block.
My cock is bigger than David Lee Roth ever was.
I know that story because you cock blocked him trying to pick you up, and he was just trying to cock block you, telling the story about you cock blocking him.
I'm not talking about love. My love is rotten to the core. That's the only Van Halen song I know or I want to know. Thank you. Carry on, Timo.
But Timo, these are bands that sold millions of records, and that's why kids knew about them, because you had access to them. What were some of the music experiences of things that were maybe more underground that you felt like you discovered yourself, and a thing was happening, and it wasn't the general society didn't know about it?
Hang on a second. You're 11 or 12 years old. You're going to the Garden.
Yeah.
I'm already playing Max's Kansas City and Sammy Jamie's, but you haven't discovered that yet. It's very interesting. But Dad has a blue whale at the Natural History Museum.
There was
what a life.
It's interesting. Just to answer your question, to make that segue, is like I brought my Van Halen tape over to my friend of mine's house, my classmate. I was like, this is cool, and his older brother had an Exploited tape, which I just thought it was just completely. I was like, oh, I'm actually not cool. This is honestly, I felt like a complete dork in that moment. But then it was a few years later. It really
you're probably all dorks at 11.
Yeah, exactly. His older brother was a little less of a dork.
All right. Timo, I have to ask, when really did you say, fuck the Van Halen, fuck the Exploited? Well, I got to do music, and I got to do it my own way. When did that really strike?
Basically, like I was going to say, is it was the Bad Brains in 1985.
Okay, all right.
At CB's, and that everything has flipped everything in terms of the whole ethos of a lot of different things, in terms of like the entire the presentation and the culture, and also the fusion of different styles, and also the actual complete like unapologetic fierce originality of those guys, which is absolutely just crushing, mind-blowingly incredible. And then It was like when I got to high school is when I became aware of the underground punk rock, and then the performance punks and the garage punks and the art punks, and then also just experimental music.
And the fucked punks.
Yeah. So I mean, it was basically like, it was at the end of I started actually making my own music at the end of high school and started trying to develop my own weird shit or whatever. And
now you're one of the top weirdos.
That's true.
Congratulations.
Still working.
I guess this brings us back to, at this point, based on this little chronological reflection, it brings us back to Olympia, Washington. So how long did you stay there?
Well, I was there for that was like 89 to 92. And then I was just like, why am I in college? I want to try to play music on the circuit. I'm not really cut out for this actual academic world right now. And then I actually moved up to Seattle, where I just lived and worked for a couple of years. So it was 89 to 94. And then I actually moved back to New York after randomly crossing paths with Sean Lennon, who ended up brokering me into a relationship to play with him and Yoko. And then I did some.
Which, by the way, I mean, I met Sean Lennon once, and he was actually really freaking cool.
Yeah, dude, Sean's a fantastic.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, Sean's brilliant. He's actually
So he recognized your talent and brought you into his fold.
That's true. That's exactly. I mean, it was like kindred spirit, because he's another like kind of multi-instrumentalist maniac. He fucking plays everything,
And so you guys cross paths, and then he's like, was Sean doing the arrangements for his mom's album, or how did?
Yeah, he basically there was she wanted to put together kind of like an art rock band, and that Sean had another friend, his friend Sam Koppelman, who we're still friends with, and then I had just gotten in the mix because we just crossed paths, so it became a trio with Yoko as the lead singer. And that we made a record with her for Warner Brothers, and it came out in 1995. And also, that was one of those.
There you are, right out of Evergreen, plopping and flopping around, and you're plucked by Sean Lennon to play with one of the most bizarre vocalists ever, or if not bizarre people ever, Yoko Ono. God, you must be relieved that you're now going to be playing with me. I'm so much easier to deal with.
No, I mean, Yoko, that whole experience was like, I mean, the thing, the truth is, it went from like me playing in weirdo underground kind of punk bands in the Seattle Olympia area to more or less within months being in Yoko's band and being traveling in 5-star hotels and castles and with this with roadies, never had anything remotely like that. And plus, at the time,
excuse me, wait, Timo, it was only because you were that fucking good that you were called on to do that.
I mean, I think perhaps I would. I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't want to.
It wasn't because you were weird enough. You were weird enough and good enough.
You're good enough, and also probably. I mean, you and Sean growing up in Manhattan. There was a lot of other things to connect you guys. Probably, maybe not, but
I mean, overall, just in terms of having a little bit of outsider sensibility and just fucking hardcore music, fucking nerd freaks.
I thought you were going to say a little bit of autism on each of your parts, but I'm just
guessing. So
why? Why not?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not one to diagnose such a thing.
Just a sideline of genius.
I'm not one to diagnose.
Timo, are you on the spectrum? And whatever spectrum that is, I'm just asking. I'm on spectrum. That means TV and Wi-Fi.
God.
But I mean, most geniuses are on the spectrum.
Well, there's a million spectrums, and it comes down to what degree of what spectrum. We're probably on all spectrums, just to what degree.
I was just thinking of "She's a Rainbow" by the Rolling Stones for some reason. Go ahead. Well, that must have been so weird.
So you're on the Yoko Ono. You just did one tour? Did you do more than one tour? Or
we did we made a record called Rising, and then we did a tour of the States first. I was playing bass. Russell Simmons from the Blues Explosion was playing drums.
Okay,
Sean,
not the other Russell Simmons.
Not thankfully, as it turns out. And then that was a U.S. tour, just the big cities, and then we did another tour in Europe and Japan, where I played drums, and then Andrew Weiss from Ween and the Rollins Band was playing bass.
Okay.
So, I mean, you were called in to do a variety of instrumentations for that.
Yeah. Basically everybody in that band, the Yoko album band, we're all like play drums and bass and guitar. So that was
What is your favorite instrument at this? Well, at this moment, is a guitar.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a drummer first. I love the guitar. I mean, I've been playing the guitar much more actively for the last.
Well, you are actually now under the compliments of doing the big sexy noise stuff because of your incredible guitar playing.
Well, I am a thank you, and yes, I'm very much. I mean, I've been doing guitar much more regularly, like prominently for years and years.
But you consider yourself more of a drummer.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, that's like I'm kind of a drummer first. My heart is like.
Well, that's why your feel. I think that's why your feel on guitar and your groove in the guitar is probably there in the pocket the way it is because you play drums first.
That is correct.
I consider myself a bit of a drummer. That is in the percussive way that I deliver everything I do. But however, I, like Teenage Jesus, prefer one drum, one stick, a snare, and that would be like a bear trap.
Nice. All right. So then what happened? So the Yoko Ono thing happened, and that's incredible experience.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I definitely can still consider it one of the highlights of my life. That was unbelievably amazing. We got to like the record company did this like a sort of guest stars, like a compilation record. We worked with Thurston Moore, and then and then Tricky, and then the Beastie Boys, and
amazing.
So, and also David Yao, and we basically the US tour, we played with all of those people, and the Melvins, and like we played with Yoko. And so that was just unbelievably amazing. We also played with a full ensemble double band with the Boredoms in Japan, which was just possibly the greatest experience of my whole life. Seriously. So in the years after that, it morphed into me playing in Sean's solo, or actually it went from Yoko to Sean and I joining Cibo Matto.
Oh, right. That's right.
So I was in Cibo Matto, and then I did that and then kind of parallel with all of us, sort of similar personnel playing in Sean's solo band. And then, so this was basically from 95 to 2001 when Cibo Matto 1.0 basically dissolved. And then I've just been.
Well, what's interesting is, like so many things in anything, some things are just a fluke. It's an accident. It's coincidental. It's coincidence. And this was like one thing led to another, and just happened to be cool things leading to another thing. And that's the way so much happens that people don't realize. It's like so much is a fluke, so much is an accident, so much is a coincidence. It's just the way it is. Yeah, but you happen to have this lucky series of coincidences that led you to be exactly what you are now with all the experience you've had.
I totally agree. I mean, the actual, just as a matter of fact, the meeting, Sean and I meeting, just happened because my dad's third partner, her son was graduating from high school with one of Sean's friends. And so it was I was also 5 years older than those guys. So it was a graduation from high school lunch. That's how Sean and I crossed that.
This is when something is really beautifully weird.
Yeah.
Because it just sometimes happens like that.
No bearing on anything in terms of art or music. It was just totally random, but
Exactly. So now bring us up to date. So now, what about Netherlands?
Well, the Netherlands I've been doing for like the last 10 plus years. It's I mean, like I've been doing it with varying amounts of momentum and with varying and like fluctuating amounts of support over the years. But it's just my long-term, it's my fucking band. It's my my longest-term art project. I have a parallel world of solo music that is I'm closer to being like an outsider artist, the vast majority of which I haven't actually ever released, but I'm gearing up to release all of it. I remixed actually all of it.
A box set, like a trunk set?
There's like 25 albums. Yeah,
amazing.
It's
amazing.
Like
oh, God.
5 box sets.
Good luck, my friend.
No, I know. I it's ridiculous. But like basically I've been making solo music since 2001, basically Netherlands since 2010. And like Netherlands has 9 albums, 10 albums.
Amazing.
I have two finished. I have 2 more finished, new records right now. And just
okay. So Tim, Timo.
Yes.
Tim introduced me to the Netherlands. And I'm like, the production, the quality of the music, what you were covering is just so superlative that I was kind of shocked. I'm like, what the fuck? Where, what? Bring me this man. Because it's really outrageously good.
Thank you.
Really, it's outrageously fucking good.
Well, you know,
with that and weird as well. Look,
that's true.
You can be good and so what, but if you're good and weird, that's what matters, at least to me.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. I mean, like, the thing is that like there's elements of R&B and like fucking krautrock and silence or comedy too. There's there's also
and pop.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and like R&B and radio stuff. And truthfully, like I've been in New York and I've been playing in the kind of in the scene, in this kind of hard rock scene for a long time, and we have a lot of local people that I've built up my name to the point where I have the respect or whatever. People like it. At the same time, like it's quirky. It's kind of eccentric enough that it's just like still like it's still in the margin, basically.
Well, and it's still you, which is what's important.
Oh, always, now and forever. Yes.
And you know what? That's what we hear, both at the Lydia spin, but also what Tim and I do. We want people who are truly them fucking selves, whatever that means. We want people that are truly themselves.
And it usually doesn't work unless you're
well, actually, yourself. It usually works. I'm just thinking of one or two exceptions where it becomes annoying. No, it usually does work if you're true to yourself.
Yeah.
And you also respect and deserve the respect of other people. Without respect of other things, get the fuck off the bandwagon. Fuck off.
All right, so you have all this stuff. You also were doing some film score commercial work, music wise, and you also have been a hired gun for other bands as well.
I have. I've done a ton of like licensing for films and a ton of scoring for commercials, and then I've been a sideman. I was in the bands that we mentioned, and I also played with Jonas Policewoman. I was in Space Hog for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by the way, Jonas Policewoman is also on a record I just did with Kramer of the Edgar Allan Poe ratings, which Thurston Moore is also on.
Sweet.
So many people are on that from Kramer, who I've never worked with until now. So it's interesting how these things come around and make a connection, because that's really what it's all about, is what is the connection? And the connections are important.
Yeah, cheers. I agree.
Yeah.
But does that answer your question, Tim? Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just grinding at the Hydra. I'm like, whatever. I'll do this. I'll do whatever. I'll do it all. I do it all. Yeah.
So is there a type of music, and of course there's a ratio of how much you're being paid, that you would say no to, even if the money was huge?
I would say Christmas reggae.
Nice. Who the fuck wants that shit anyway?
All right, fine.
Reggae, okay, but like,
I don't even know what that means.
Holiday theme reggae, I draw the line.
Sure. That's not a bad answer. What about like kind of praise, mega church Christian pop?
I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of, you're pushing it too. Because
all right, let's get to this. Right now, you make a lot of music, Timo. Yes.
Yeah.
We all make a lot of music. When you want to hear something to either relax, chill out, what do you listen to, or what are you listening to now?
I am obsessed with the classical composer Frederick Delius, who I just absolutely adore. So you just honestly, truthfully, now that I'm kind of in this grieving, a bit of a grief period.
Right. You lost both your parents recently, which was.
Yes, in the last.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's heavy. That's heavy.
Because your parents, you said, died within like 11 days of each other.
They did, yeah. I'm still kind of reeling from it. Honestly, that was less than 3 weeks ago,
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to my church where there's all healing all the time.
Beautiful. Well, thank you.
Yeah, really. I have to say, Timo, the first meeting we had, to me, was pretty monumental. Yeah. Look, I only know what I heard from Tim about you. I knew nothing. But we had a meeting, you came to my house, and immediately there was a connection that I think was pretty amazing, because I completely understood, and I think you did too, what we are.
I do. I definitely feel like a straight up palpable kindred, like on a lot
Thank
of
you.
different levels.
Me too.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it doesn't matter when you meet people, you will always meet the people you need to meet. At least I feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So-
cool.
I'm very glad to know you, my friend.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Thank you.
So
so much.
you're obsessed. You're listening. Which
Yeah.
people specifically as is part of your morning process? Is that what you're saying, or?
Oh no, I mean, like just saying if I generally like yeah, I mean if I'm walking around or whatever, if I put it on a little bit, like I've also like I don't know, man. I've been really wanting to only be well, I mean, I'm working on reasonably abrasive music of my own, in part. So
Welcome.
yeah,
Reasonably abrasive.
I've been wanting to kind of offset yeah, to sort of counterbalance it a little bit with something that isn't so hostile or whatever, so quite so intense. So the Frederick Delius, the Florida Suite, is absolutely just, it's like the peak of humanity. It's one of the most exquisite fucking pieces of music ever.
All right, I'll try. I don't know that piece. I'll check it
Yeah,
out.
I mean, it's really, it's pretty. It's not like it's. No, I don't say it's schmaltzy. It's beautifully. It's so earnest. It's so gorgeous, but it's not like radical leftist, but it's absolutely stunningly.
Well, one record that to me is so emotionally beautiful, I can't even listen to it, and it's one of my favorite albums, is called 200 Years of Music, live in Portugal, Stephen Brown and Blaine Reiniger, both from Tuxedo Moon, which I wasn't even a fan of Tuxedo Moon, but this album to me is so beautiful, piano and violin, I can't even listen to it because it reduces me to a trembling daffodil on a field that is blowing in the wind too hard to even comprehend. I really recommend this. And this is a music that's, for some reason, reminds me of grief, but it's so uplifting. I don't know how it can do two things at once, but it does.
So now I'm
20
gonna
years of music live in Portugal, Stephen Brown and Blaine Reiniger. Yeah.
I'm gonna do my recommendation.
Yeah, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Because I'm going tomorrow, and it's starting tomorrow. The whole Licht series, the Stockhausen Licht, presented by the Stockhausen cult itself, the real deal at the Armory. And I could have gone to the marathon, which is a 6 hours. I'm going to do it in two different sections. But in terms of going to the other world and the other dimensions beyond life, that
another
thing,
emotional dimension,
that's it's earnest or what? No, that this is other galaxies, and I can't fucking wait. I'm psyched about it. I highly recommend anyone to go to it, actually. So at the Armory.
Well, and music that is so emotional, that's from such another dimension, that can really not only erase a lot of the bullshit that's happening, but that can teleport you. That's what great music and great genius of any format, whether it's music, literature, film, etc., it can teleport you to a place you need to be at that time to erase part of the bullshit that you're contaminated with just from dealing with the here and now and the everyday.
That right on. I am absolutely.
Yeah, right.
I mean, one thing about the Stockhausen pieces, though, I mean, what blew my mind about this Lick series, it challenged my interpretation of what music even is, and that's really liberating. Let's put it that way. So, I like.
Do you have a yacht rock? Do you have like a
what?
Like an earnest side of your like totally not like fuckery? Is there some other? Is there like a pendant?
Well, no, Timo, it's interesting because I'm a trained musician, and I mean, I fell in love with music as a child through popular music.
Yeah.
Other professional musicians, I would say it's about 50-50. The other half fell in love by playing music because maybe they're socially awkward and someone in school handed them an instrument and it gave them an excuse to be locked in the closet and just go. But no, I fell in love with music through popular music, and everything was a gateway from there. So absolutely.
Not anymore though.
No, I can go back, and Lydia doesn't even like this side of my music. I can even enjoy music I hate, and everyone else hates.
Tim, you enjoy a lot of music you hate.
Yeah,
I do not.
Well, it's sort of like when I would listen to Rush Limbaugh sometimes. I mean, I'm kind of curious about like what other perceptions are
of our generational divide. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
First of all, I don't listen to very much music. If I'm home alone, I'm not playing music. I'm just not. If I'm home with somebody, I might be playing some music. At that point, I don't want to play music that annoys me, irritates me, or I find highly fucking
Well,
stupid.
I guess where the angle I come from with that is, you have like some of the most brilliant minds in music engineering, basically,
they are.
and polishing a pile of shit. And the whole thing's so emperors wearing no clothes. It's so bizarre to me that you have these brilliant minds just kind of really making this, who knows what, something incredibly professional.
But that fascinates you. It does not fascinate me, because basically, for the most part, silence is
that's fine.
Beautiful.
But Lydia, I remember being on the airplane and reading one of those shitty airplane magazines, in the little pocket in front of you, and it was like an interview with the executive chef of McDonald's, who's basically like considered one of the greatest chefs in the world, and he's like, well, this was my last challenge. How do I make this sandwich
tastes like shit?
I mean, how do I make it consistent? So anyhow, we can move on from this.
I really like the concept. How do I make shit taste like shit, but people are going to buy it?
Well, it has to be consistent. The quality control has to be the same. Hey, it's the same shit every time. Yeah. Well.
Anyway, look, we're going to have to close this out, because right now it's 1:08 a.m. in Como, Italy.
Lucky.
I just got off the stage of my suicide tribute. I'm with Tim Dahl, who's in Brooklyn. I'm with Timo Ellis, who's also in Brooklyn, I believe. Who is going to be joining Tim, and Kevin Shea to do a Big Sexy Noise cover tribute for 5 shows starting July 5th in Baltimore. I cannot wait.
July
6th, excuse me.
Yeah, July 6th,
and then July 7th in New York, and etc. We'll post that. I'm very happy to know both of Tim and Timo.
Cheers.
I can't wait to see you both again, and it's going to be a great time.
Yes,
this is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Timo Ellis. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are we rehearsing tomorrow, Timo?
Or do you want to do tomorrow? But I'll text you after this.
I'll text over. Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks for doing this.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome.